Listen, even though I'm older than him, I grew up wanting to be just like him.
Right. Everybody just trying to figure out where this football career that you keep talking about you had, where is it?
Man, when you came to Oakland, Heather, the day we arrived for Sway Fest, there were kids that were running up, grown men that were running up to you, telling you what? You don't remember that? Yo, he did used to play.
Track. I
You gotta
heard
see
track
it, right?
stories.
Oh,
Yeah,
come
I
on,
gotta
Eddie,
see
don't
it,
do
Eddie.
that, man.
Track stories,
you
no
have, you have the
football.
VCR tapes, the beta.
Man,
Is it on beta or
The
VHS?
beta tape, man. No, man. Somebody wrote it on the wall. It's
Put it on the wall?
calligraphy. You know, you
Legend.
can see the characters. That voice you heard right there is four-time Pro Bowler, first-team All-Pro, second-team All-Pro, NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, and Heisman Trophy winner.
Appreciate that. Yes.
The one and only Eddie George is back on the show, man.
Always a pleasure to see y'all.
Yo, man, why you joining in on that, man? Like, you act like you don't believe me, Eddie,
I do
man.
believe you,
I'm
but
just
I want
saying.
to see it. Trust but verify.
I changed.
Trust but verify.
Okay. Hey, man, you're here doing a couple things, and we'll get into that, man. But last year we weren't able to make it. You know, we weren't able to broadcast here. This year, and there was a lot of things going on in the NFL, especially when it comes to the African American community.
Yes.
People marching, sacrificing for equality, to have a seat at the table. Wait, hold up, man. Okay, great. That's Slam Radio over there, man.
The high schoolers, they
Channel
get rowdy.
145. What are we seeing now? You're out the league. You can say stuff. They can't do nothing to you.
Yeah.
In terms of diversity, when we talk about how many coaches of color we seeing now, how many quarterbacks. In the past, they didn't think that African American quarterbacks had the bandwidth to be able to read defenses and memorize play. What are we seeing in the NFL? They had to acknowledge that there's these disparities.
I think they made progress on the field with African American quarterbacks, seeing a lot more opportunities in that regard. But there was a panel I did about 20 years ago, or roughly around there, 18, 19, 20, about that. And the statistics about African American head coaches about 2% in the NFL and less than that in NCAA.
Yeah.
And that was 20 years ago, and they're worse now.
It's worse now?
I mean, I don't see how, it is. It's either right at the same or worse. And you're seeing it because you're going to hire who you're comfortable with. And they had the Rooney Rule in place and so forth, and I don't think that's really having a huge effect on the decision-making when it comes to minorities being hired for coaching positions or even in GM positions.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You're not getting a fair shake. It's become like, okay, we're going to do the checklist. We're going to bring in a guy we know we're not going to hire who happens to be Latino or African American who fits the role to say, okay, we did it, but all along we know we're going to hire this guy.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's necessarily a race thing. I think it's more how comfortable you are with the individual that you want to bring in.
Okay.
But certainly we have to have more African Americans in positions of power, and that being in ownership.
I was good. Yep.
You gotta
say that too?
You gotta be one of the 32 in the room. It has to be of your hue. And if it's not going to be that, they don't have the interest in mind because you don't necessarily see it. Now I don't understand somebody else's perspective who might be African, who might be Caucasian or Latino or whatever. But there needs to be somebody that represents us that sees it from our perspective that's going to give people of color more opportunity. You want to hire the right person, but I think the right person can be in any form, shape, or fashion is just willing to vet that person out and do your due diligence to say, hey, this might be the guy for us.
Eddie George is hanging out with us.
So, Eddie, is it just like a private club that people just can't get in? Because I was going to ask you about ownership and like, what is the problem exactly? You can't buy a team. There are no teams available.
You got to have $1 billion.
Well,
you got to be in the billions.
We're starting to have those conversations now.
And I think that when you look at someone that's close to doing that is Jay-Z.
Yeah.
And you gotta be in the room where it happens. You gotta be at the table. You gotta be able to have these discussions. You gotta be able to find win-wins. You can't always be fighting. You gotta say, okay, let's put our swords down and let's talk in a way where we can find a mutual agreement and see it from my perspective. Let me understand your perspective, and let's find the win-win. How can we expand the pie and really come to some understanding and say, okay, how does somebody get in of color that has the player's interest in mind? Because the league is made up of 90-80% blacks.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know?
that's who's running the field,
But
metaphorically and
Okay,
literally.
let's-
yeah, but most of the head coaches are
white.
Are white.
Yeah,
And the assistant coaches are white.
Yeah.
The coordinators are white.
people who make
Yeah,
the power decisions.
And they're getting recycled.
Yeah,
You know, even on the college level. You know, you got coaches that are underperforming in college getting head coaching jobs. You know, and it's like, okay, well, what is it really about?
Well, do you think that, when you see, Colin Kaepernick's plight was about bringing awareness to police brutality,
I think he did just that.
and he did just that. So what can you do to bring awareness to that disparity, that there aren't any African-American team
Have
owners?
these conversations.
Yeah, okay.
And even if it's partnering with having a minority stake in ownership and allowing us to have more of an opportunity to be in the room, to hear the what's being said or the issues at hand, or how do you get in on one of these deals. I think that's where it has to happen.
That's where it has to happen. Diddy and Jay-Z combined have well
And
over.
Dr. Dre.
And Dr. Dre can buy a football team. And guess what? If they did
But
buy
one has to be up for sale.
someone has to be for sale, or you do an expansion.
Well, that's the thing. That's got to be over in London. You know?
Okay,
But
okay.
listen, let me tell you something now. A lot of these owners, these teams are like their cars.
Yeah.
All right. They're making $4 billion. $4 billion. That's their value. So when they're buying these teams, they're like, okay, I'll throw, $1 billion at that.
Yeah.
And I'll just bring my wife, my children, and let them just have a wonderful experience and entertain people at the games. They buy just to entertain people.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not their job. That's not their main thing. So you have to have the assets and the access to do that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it can be anybody, but they have to be up for sale, and it's a tough network to really get into. But you got to try. You got to keep trying.
Eddie George is actually here because Jack Daniels is doing something
Woohoo!
really dope. I knew Heather would be excited about this.
Jack D.
They got that Tennessee whiskey, but that's important. But what really is important is their quest to make sure that people are drinking responsibly.
Yes.
But they're also taking a different initiative, right? What are they doing with Uber?
They have a partnership with Uber nationwide. Anyone 21 and over.
Okay.
21 and over.
They
have an opportunity to get a $5 credit with Uber to just drink responsibly.
Yes.
So they're giving you money to have an Uber from wherever you're coming from, someone's house or a bar, wherever you are watching the game, having a good time, to rely on that. So if you're going to have an alcoholic beverage, hopefully it is a Jack Daniels product. You can drink that and then go on about your way in a responsible way. No way in 2020 you should have a DUI. No way. There's no way. There's too much access out
I
there.
agree.
Lyft, Uber, but this is a great opportunity to do that.
Eddie George, ladies and gentlemen. And if they want to find a way to get that, how can they get that $5 ride
You
credit?
can go on any of the social media platform, that being Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and get that information.
Man, I love the conversation we just had, man.
That
I
was
love
real.
that you're able to speak on it transparently, too,
That's
bro.
real.
All right, absolutely.